Okay, بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم، الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الخلق أجمعين سيدنا محمد عليه وعلى آله وصحبه أفضل الصلاة والتسليم. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما يا رب العالمين. اللهم إنا نسألك علما نافعا وعملا صالحا مقبلا ورزقا حلالا طيبا يا أكرم الأكرمين وبعد. جزاكم الله خيرا for coming. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept your steps to come to the mosque, to an ilm session, to an Al-Majlis. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to reward you immensely. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to put all of your efforts and your work and your balance of hasanat, inshallah. There are just a couple of points I want to make before I hand the mic over to Sheikh Ibrahim, inshallah, our guest. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless him and to reward him for coming, inshallah. We're very honored and pleased to have him here. This is his first event he's doing with us here in the mosque, so inshallah, first and not the last, inshallah. First of all, so I think most of you got this brochure paper, right? At least the majority. So it's a little flyer about Al-Majlis, if you heard of this name before. It's the program that we're running for teaching and learning Islamic sciences, different Islamic sciences and disciplines of fiqh, sirah, tafsir, aqidah, and other disciplines. Covering most of these disciplines from time to time, covering traditional books and mutul that are written by scholars from our traditional history, trying to connect this gap between our tradition and our history and our modern time. How can we understand Islam and how can we embody all these teachings and concepts that we learn about Islam all the time in modern time, and at the same time we are still connected with our righteous predecessors and with our self, inshallah. So all the information about the program is in the flyer, and then you can subscribe to the email list to get the new announcements for the new classes, inshallah. And I'm just going to make an announcement to the class that we have not announced it yet. Inshallah, we're going to start a new class in January on the hereafter and Yawm al-Qiyamah, and the events and the things that happen since the person dies all the way until, inshallah, we'll be in Jannah. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to place us all in Jannah, inshallah. And we'll talk about, of course, the punishments and the hellfire and the adab of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to save us. This time, it's going to be a special course in collaboration with the MSA. Jazakumullah khairan. They were very collaborating with us organizing this course. Most of our courses we used to run in the Al-Majlis Center, as some of you know already, but this time we'll make it in the University of Windsor, inshallah. It's going to be a 4-week course, 4 times, every Wednesday, inshallah, at 6 o'clock. The details will be shared with you on the email and the social media pages of Al-Majlis, inshallah. The second thing is the topic of tonight. It's about social media. And I'm pretty sure that every single one of us here is involved somehow with the social media. And I think that all of us, including myself, we do not, there's no one single day that passes without us checking at least 1 or 2 of our phone apps on the social media, right? That makes maybe all of us, at least 1 or 2, if not maybe sometimes 4 or 5. Just something that we have to talk about, something that we are heavily involved with and we really have to talk about. Is it good? Is it bad? How can we approach it? What is the best way of dealing with these things? Just a quick kind of non-verbal and visual survey. So, how many of you have an Instagram account? And be honest, no one's going to take pictures of this. You know, I'm pretty sure there's more. Okay, I have an Instagram account, so please raise your hands if you do. Should have as well. I follow. Okay, how many of you have Snapchat? Okay, significant increase. Okay, how many of you still have Facebook? You know, there's this stigma that Facebook is expired for the information. Yeah, so that was actually speculative. How many of you have Twitter? MashaAllah, there are people who raise their hands in every single one. MashaAllah, very active, very involved, and very active. MashaAllah. How many of you have TikTok? And be careful as you answer this. Okay, those who raise their hands, I appreciate your bravery. And I appreciate your astaghfirullah. Yeah, I appreciate your honesty. So again, as I said, it's really something very serious that we're dealing with. And really, I think I don't think I have so much to offer on this topic, and then Sheikh Ibrahim is the expert on this topic and can inshallah share with you more insights on this area. Just a little introduction again. Sheikh Ibrahim is the Imam of Dar al-Tawheed. It's a mosque in Mississauga, and he's a research director of the Yaqeen Institute. I think all of you are familiar with Yaqeen, and he's been very active in the Yaqeen community, mashallah, for a long time. Some of you know him already and follow him on social media. Mashallah, he's very active on social media as well, and he's very active with the Muslim community's advocacy for some of the problems that Muslim communities are facing, specifically again in the GTA area. And inshallah, more and more with the Muslim community, inshallah. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala again to reward him. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless him. I encourage you to listen attentively to his talk, inshallah. There will be a Q&A session at the end. We'll try to provide you with some notes or papers that if you want to write your questions, but please feel free at the end to just share your questions, inshallah, just on the spot to direct them to Sheikh Ibrahim, inshallah. Jazakallah khairan. Barakallah.
بسم الله الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه. اللهم اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. All praise be to Allah alone, and we seek aid and assistance to Him, return both repentance and for forgiveness. Truly, He whom Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guides, and He mislead, and He whom Allah leaves to go astray, there is none who can guide. And I bear witness that there is nothing worthy of worship except Allah alone, and Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is both His servant and His messenger. So first of all, Jazakallah khair for inviting me, having me over, and for Sheikh Yousef to invite me, for all of you to attend. MashaAllah, it's an amazing number of people who have come out. I thought, it's the holidays and everybody's going to be gone, but MashaAllah, there's a huge community here. So this topic of social media, when Sheikh Yousef was asking me what do you want to talk about, we were going back and forth on different topics. And I said, what title do you want? And part of me wanted to say 10 things I hate about social media, for that to be the title. Then I thought, I want to be more positive. So I want to say, there is a good side to it. We don't want to just discount it completely. And the reality is that social media is affecting, even if you are one of those few people. And I've met someone like this. I met a brother who took his smartphone and he went to the store and said, I don't want a smartphone, I want like a brick phone. The one that doesn't have anything, no internet, nothing. I know one person like this. I know one brother gave away his cell phone, but I don't want a smartphone at all. He doesn't have a cell phone at all. There's some people like this, there's 1 in 1,000 maybe, but even those people are still affected by social media. Social media is affecting the whole world around them. It's affecting every single person around them. Everybody's being affected by social media, right? And yes, all the old people are on Facebook, and the younger people are on Instagram and Snapchat and TikTok and Twitch and whatever else they're on. They're all smiling now, they know what they're talking about. All this other stuff is happening, but everybody's still being affected by what's happening on Twitter. Sorry, what's happening on social media. The geeks and the political people are on Twitter, and the guys who want to take pictures are on Instagram, but everybody's being affected by it. And how do we deal with it? And how do we deal with technology in general? What should be the outlook of the Muslim when it comes to this rapidly changing technology? Now, think for a minute. Imagine we can go back in a time machine to when the first type of social media was invented. And I'm talking about before Facebook, before Friendster, even if you remember that. Just keep going back in time. Go all the way back in time to Italy in I don't want to say the wrong date, maybe 1700s, 1600s, when they developed the printing press. Does anyone know what the printing press is? What's a printing press? Okay. Machine. Words. It's a machine that puts words onto paper. So basically what they did was they realized that back then if you wanted to copy a book, what would you do? You would literally have to sit down and write out word for word. Then one of them realized, hey, what if we, instead of having to write word for word, we etch what we want to write on a piece of, kind of like a piece of stone, and use it like a stamp. So I only have to copy this page once, then I can stamp, and I can make 100 copies, 1,000 copies, very easily. This was the printing press. It was invented in Europe. And it came to the Muslim world. And the Muslims resisted it. They said, we don't want this. And one of the reasons they didn't want it is they said that people can spread misinformation very easily. right? That was one of the issues that they had with it. People can spread misinformation very easily. If somebody writes misinformation, copies it a bunch of times, spreads it all over the world, misinformation will go really quickly. So Muslims said, we don't want the printing press. The Ottoman Empire rejected the printing press for almost 400 years. Until Napoleon invaded Egypt and he brought with him the printing press, and when he left it behind. And then they said, okay, fine, we can have a printing press, but you cannot use it for the Quran, and you cannot use it for anything Islamic. And so, like, for 400 years or more, the Muslim world resisted the printing press. And many historians, they say, the reason the Muslim world began to decline was this decision of resisting the printing press. Allahu A'lam if that's the truth, but a lot of historians think this. And think back now to when TV became a big deal. And TV started to be this new invention, and TV was in people's houses. And a lot of people said, don't get involved in television. Leave television alone completely. Does that serve Muslims or not? Because you can argue, if Muslims said, hey, there's this new invention called television, let's figure out how we can make the best use of it. Let's figure out how we can use it for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Maybe Muslims could have developed a lot of ways to use television for the sake of Allah. But when they rejected it completely, television media became taken over by non-Muslims completely. The Muslims were on the outside. Just like the printing press began to develop knowledge in Europe. They were writing books and spreading knowledge for 400 years while the Muslim world was being left behind because the Muslims didn't use the technology the way they should have used it. Even though they were right, there were some harms with regards to the printing press, and there are many harms with regards to television. It doesn't mean you reject it outright. And so this is the same thing when it comes to social media. We have to be able to use it properly without its harm affecting us. And we have to be logical. There's harmful parts of it, and there's beneficial parts of it as well. And you know, there's an interesting hadith as well. The Prophet ﷺ said in the hadith, لَا تَقِلْ مُسْتَعَرَ, the final hour will not occur حَتَّى يُكَلِّمُ الرَّجُلَ عَذْبَةَ صَوْتِ, until you will see the man speaking to عَذْبَةَ صَوْتِ. What is عَذْبَةَ صَوْتِ? Was if a man was riding a camel, if you're riding a camel, there was a thing you would hold in your hand. It was like a small whip. It was a handle with a very small whip on it. And you strike the whip, it makes a loud sound, and it makes the camel go, or it makes the horse go. And if you strike it to one side, it will go off on the other side. If you strike to the other side, it goes off. So you can steer it as well using this. So it was almost like the keys to your car, right? It's something you hold in your hand. And if they parked their camel somewhere, they went into the marketplace, they're holding this thing in their hand. They walk around everywhere with it. If they go home, they take it with them at home. So the Prophet said the hour will not occur until the man is talking to this thing that he holds in his hand. SubhanAllah, just like the cell phone, you hold it in your hand, you walk around anywhere you want to walk, you go to the mall, you go home, you're holding it in your hand and you're talking. It's exactly what the Prophet described, something that they would hold in their hand. He said the hour will not come until they're talking to him. And then he said something very interesting as well. وَيُخْبِرُ فَخِذَهُ بِمَا يُحْدِثُ أَهْلَهُ بَعْدُ. And his fakhid will, the fakhid now means your thigh, literally. But what is intended in this hadith is your extended family. The extended family will inform the person of what is happening inside his house. So, what is your extended family? Your cousin, your second cousin, you know, somebody that is related to you. You know them, but you don't see them every day. Maybe they live far away from you. You don't know them that well, but you have some relation to them. And you walk into him, you know, run into that person in the mall. You run into the masjid and say, "Hey, how are you?" And they say, "Oh, I saw your daughter has something in her bedroom." You're like, "What are you talking about? I don't even know that she has something in her bedroom. What are you talking about?" But she took a picture on Instagram and put it on the internet, and that other person you've never seen before knows what's happening inside your house. You don't even know what's happening inside your house. Or your kids block you on social media, so you can't see what they're writing. Some other person knows what they're saying, and you don't even know what they're saying. And this is exactly what the Prophet ﷺ said, the hour will not occur until it's happening. And this is what we're seeing happening right in front of us. But like we said, social media, it can be a blessing. It's a responsibility, but it's a blessing. And every blessing is like a magnifying glass. Let's say money. Money is a blessing, right? Who doesn't want money? If you don't want money, put your hand up. I want to see nobody. Everybody wants money, right? But is money good or is money bad? It's neither. It's a magnifying glass. If the person has good inside them, the money is going to make that good even bigger. If they have good inside them, that money makes them give more sadaqah, help more people. That money increase, the good inside them increases because of that money. And if the person has evil inside them, the evil increases because the magnifying glass increases it. So the person starts to spend their money on haram and doing things that are haram. They access haram that they weren't able to access before, but now they have the money for it. Right? So it increased the evil that was already inside them. And Allah, the Prophet ﷺ said to us, إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يَنْظُرُ إِلَى صُوَرِكُمْ وَلَا إِلَى أَعْمَالِكُمْ وَلَكِنْ يَنْظُرُ إِلَى قُلُوبِكُمْ إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يَنْظُرُ إِلَى صُوَرِكُمْ وَلَا أَمْوَالِكُمْ وَلَكِنْ يَنْظُرُ إِلَى قُلُوبِكُمْ وَأَعْمَالِكُم. That indeed, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not look to the shape of your body, He will not look to your appearances, but He will look to your heart and He will look to your actions. And so when we talk about social media, yes, there's positives to it. And we have to engage in it in a positive way, but we have to also be aware of the way that it can affect us negatively. If Allah is going to look at your heart, how does social media affect your heart? That's an important question you have to ask yourself. How does it magnify what's in your heart? How does it better what's in your heart? How does it worsen what is in your heart? The first point that I want to mention, the first problem, the first issue that I have with social media that we have to think about, is social media generally is based on one thing. What is it based on? Who's going to tell me what it is? If you tweet, what are you looking to get?
Likes.
Well, for Twitter you need retweets. And likes, yes. And on Facebook you want likes. And on Instagram you want likes. What does that mean?
Attention.
You're looking for the attention of other people. The basis of social media is the attention of other people. If you post something and nobody reacts to it, you're not getting the people's attention. That's the loser, right? There was a kid, you believe that loser in our class? He posted something and nobody even liked it. The kids say this, right? Why? So you're basing your value on the attention of people. You consider yourself valuable if other people are paying attention to you. Now, is that the way that a Muslim should be? Look at the Prophet ﷺ with his own cousin, who was a young boy, maybe 11 years old, 12 years old, Abdullah ibn Abbas, a young adolescent boy. The Prophet ﷺ is walking with him, and he tells him, Ya ghulam, O young boy, إِنِّي أُعَلِّمُكَ كَلِمَاتٍ, I'm going to teach you some words of wisdom. What does he tell him? احفظ الله يحفظك. Very famous hadith. Be mindful of Allah, Allah will be mindful of you. Be mindful of Allah, احفظ الله تجده تجاهك. Be mindful of Allah, you will find Allah before you. Now the subtext of this entire hadith, very beautiful hadith. وَإِذَا سَأَلْتَ فَاسْأَلِ اللَّهِ وَإِذَا اسْتَعَنْتَ فَاسْتَعِنْ بِاللَّهِ. If you want to ask Allah. If you want to rely upon Allah. And know that if all of the people gathered together to benefit you, what's your name? Abdurrahman. If everybody in this masjid, forget about everybody in this masjid, if everybody in Windsor, if everybody in Ontario, if everybody in Canada said we want to do something good for Abdurrahman, we're going to buy him something. He's really happy right now. But if Allah said no, it's not going to happen. And if all of us got together and said, we're going to do something harmful with Abdurrahman, we're all going to beat him up. Everybody's going to get a punch in. If everybody said we're going to do that, but Allah said no, it's not going to happen. What is the subtext of that entire hadith? The Prophet is telling this young man what? Stop paying too much attention to what people think about you. Stop caring about the attention of people. Be mindful of Allah and Allah will be mindful of you. Forget about the people, be mindful of Allah. إِذَا سَأَلْتَ فَاسْأَلِ اللَّهِ. If you're going to ask, don't ask people, ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you need something, don't ask the people, ask Allah. And know that all the people can't help you, and all the people can't hurt you. The only one who can help you, and the only one who can hurt you is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So why do you care about the attention of people? Care about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Likewise, look at this example. The first bay'ah, the first people from Medina who accepted Islam, they came to the Prophet ﷺ, they heard the message of Islam from the Prophet, they said, we want to accept Islam. They said to the Prophet, what are we giving you bay'ah about? What is Islam? And the Prophet ﷺ said to them, this is the bay'ah they took. said, تَعْبُدُ اللَّهَ وَلَا تُشْرِكُوا بِهِ شَيْئًا. You worship Allah and you do not worship anything other than Allah. You don't associate the worship with Allah. So one, you worship Allah alone. One, تصلوا الصلوات الخمس, and then you pray the 5 prayers. Now realize at this point in time, there is no Ramadan, fasting in Ramadan, there is no zakat, there is no hajj. So he said the first 2 pillars, worship Allah alone, and he mentioned pray 5 times a day. And then he said to them, وَعَلَى أَلَّا تَسْأَلُوا النَّاسَ شَيْئًا. And you pledge allegiance not to ask the people anything. Because the Muslim has dignity. You don't go around begging other people. And you shouldn't consider your value based on what other people think or what other people are going to give you. That's not your value. Your value is with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And subhanAllah, some of the people that took that bay'ah, they said if we were riding a camel and something fell from our hands, if we're riding a camel, something falls from your hands, and someone is walking next to us. So imagine you're riding above a camel, so you're up high in the air, something falls out of your hand, and someone's walking next to you. It's very easy for the person walking next to you to pick it up and to give it to you, right? The people who took this bay'ah of the Prophet, because they made this promise to the Prophet, they wouldn't even do that. They would stop the camel, get down from the camel, pick it up themselves. Why? They didn't want to ask people for anything. They didn't want to have that, lack of dignity of asking people for things. And the Prophet ﷺ said, whoever guarantees to me that they will not ask people, I will guarantee for them Jannah. Right? It doesn't mean you can't ask people for anything. It's not a rule like that. It doesn't mean you can't ask people for help. It doesn't mean you can't ask. But the point is, like, you're begging people, you consider your value to be based on people, that's a problem. When you think what makes you valuable and what makes that kid in your class valuable is how many likes they get, that's a problem. That's not what makes you valuable. What makes you valuable is how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sees you. And the Prophet ﷺ said to us something very beautiful. مَنْ تَمْسِلُ اللَّهِ بِسَخَطِ النَّاسِ رَضِيَ اللَّهُ عَنْهُ وَأَرْضَ النَّاسِ. Whoever seeks the pleasure of Allah through earning the anger of the people. Think about someone like Muhammad Ali, the boxer. When he passed away, everybody was talking about how much they loved him. CNN was holding, gave a live view of his funeral. Everybody was talking about how amazing he was. But guess what? When he was in the prime of his life, most people hated him. Most people hated him. When he refused to go to Vietnam, most people hated him. Hated him a lot. But he chose the pleasure of Allah, even though it gave him the anger of the people. And the Prophet says, whoever chooses the pleasure of Allah, even if it makes the people angry, Allah will be pleased with him, and the people will become pleased with him. Meaning the people will be angry with him today, but eventually the people will be pleased with him. And that's a beautiful example in his life. People hated him in his life, but eventually Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made all the people love him. Because he chose the pleasure of Allah over the people. And social media, the problem with it is what? You're seeking the attention of people. You're doing whatever will make people happy with you. You're doing whatever will make people give you likes, whatever will make people follow you, whatever will get your attention. You'll do whatever they want. You become a slave to those people, rather than being a slave to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's a problem. That's a big problem in that enters into our heart. Another issue that's important is people use social media to torture themselves. Yeah, people use social media to torture themselves. This is problem number 2 right now. What do I mean by this? They go on social media, they go on Instagram, they go through their timeline on Instagram, they swipe through, look at this person's picture, look at this person's picture, look at this person's picture. Oh, this person's in Maldives. Oh, it's so beautiful, they're so lucky. Oh, this guy, look at his picture of this car is amazing. Oh, look at this person. He's got a whole bunch of money in his hand. Wow, he's so rich. And you start going through all these pictures. This guy's got an amazing life. This guy's got an amazing life. This guy's got an amazing life. And that guy's got an amazing life. And you're just seeing all these amazing lives. Now, of course, you can't see the guy taking the picture with the car. It's not even his car. He's just taking the picture with the car. The guy's holding the money. He just borrowed it from his dad. And he's holding the money. It's not his. He has to give it back. You don't see that part, right? You see the great vacation. You don't see that he's miserable on the vacation. His wife hates him. Just, can't have the whole vacation he has. You don't see the negatives. All you see what? You see the positives, right? And he even used the filter to make it look amazing subhanAllah, I look at my own pictures that I took with the filter, and I said, that looks better with the filter than it looked when I was actually there, right? Like the filter makes it look like it's something that's imaginary, it's not even real. And people start to see that everybody else's life is perfect, and my life is terrible. Everybody else's life is amazing, and my life is the worst. Even the people posting those pictures, and they're smiling, and they're feeling like, man, my life is terrible, everybody else is having a great time. Right? And the Prophet ﷺ, what did he teach us? He said, "انظر إلى من هو دونك ولا تنظر إلى من هو فوقك." That always look to those who have lesser than you, don't look to those who have more than you. فإنه أجدر ألا تزدري نعمة الله عليك. Why? Because that is more likely to prevent you from underestimating the blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's very easy to underestimate all the blessings you have when all you're doing is, oh, look at that guy who's flying first class. Oh, look at this person, he has this. Look at me, how amazing this person's car is, how amazing this person's house is. When you're looking at everybody else that has more than you forget the blessings that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave you. I guarantee you Allah gave you things He didn't give other people. I guarantee you that's true. But you don't know that because all you're doing is focusing on what other people have. And I was speaking to a cognitive scientist. We had a discussion at U of T, myself and Sheikh Hamza Sortis, and I'm forgetting his name right now, Dr. John Verbach from the University of Toronto. He's a cognitive scientist. He doesn't care about religion or anything like that, but what he cares about is the brain and what makes people happy, and etc., etc. SubhanAllah, from his own discussions, he was saying, religious people are happy, atheists are not. And he was telling me something else that was really interesting. He said, if you want to be happy, stay off of social media. Stay off of Instagram. Why? Because of this reason. People go on it and they see what other people have, and their mind becomes like, sends them into depression. That everybody has something great and I don't have it. Everybody has something amazing and I don't have it. And so they start feeling like they're so poor. And the Prophet ﷺ said, "Allah bima qasama Allah, warda bima qasama Allah lak, takun aghna an-nas." Be content with what Allah has given you. You will be the richest of all the people. That's the reality. Tell me who's rich and who's poor. The guy who's driving the Tesla, but he's upset because his neighbor got the better Tesla, or his neighbor, went, they can do this, they pay money online, and the Tesla gives their horsepower, makes their horsepower go even more. Your horsepower can be like 0 to 60 seconds, but then you pay money on this app, and then Tesla makes the horsepower from 0 to 30 seconds or something like that. I don't know, these crazy specs, I don't know anything about cars. So I'm just saying something like that. The guy who, his neighbor got the upgrade, he didn't get the upgrade. And he feels so angry that his neighbor has something better than he has. He has a BMW, but his neighbor just got the better class BMW. And he's so angry. I can't believe he got it and I couldn't get it. Someone was telling me, someone actually was complaining to me because he has a BMW and he was trying to get a Tesla, but they put him on the wait list and he couldn't get it. But all his friends had it. He's so angry and upset. He's an old man. He's telling me this. Right? So he feels like this burning in his heart. Is that guy rich? He has a lot of money. Is he rich? Or is the guy who's driving a Honda Civic, but he feels so happy. Alhamdulillah, Allah blessed me with this car. Before that, I used to take the bus. Now I have this car and I feel so happy that I have this car. Who's rich and who's poor? The one whose heart feels so happy, or the one whose heart is burning and is so angry because his friend got the upgrade that he didn't get? Who's happy and who's sad? Who's rich and who's poor? You tell me, right? The Prophet ﷺ said that they have tasted the sweetness of Iman. Whoever is content with Allah. When you're content and you're happy with what Allah gave you, that's when you feel the sweetness of Iman. That's when you feel connected to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so, the other issue, or the third issue that I want to lead into, is that when social media gears us to constantly be chasing the attention of people, we're constantly chasing the attention of people. I need people to look at me. I need them to give me likes. I need them to follow me. I need this, and you're chasing people's attention. What happens to the person? You start looking for ways to top the other person on social media, right? So, if you're doing videos, we'll watch your videos, and you do something silly, but the other guy's doing something sillier. Man, I gotta take it to another level. I gotta do something even sillier, right? He does something foolish on YouTube. He runs around with his underwear or something like that. And people start following him on YouTube. What do you start doing? I gotta take it to another level, right? He harasses people on the street, takes the video of it, I gotta harass them even more. Why? Because now you're like in this competition for people's attention. So it becomes a competition of how can I become more and more, how do I lose more and more of my dignity to get more and more of people's attention, right? So you start uncovering some of, my sister might uncover more of her hijab, uncover more of their clothes, and guys do it too. They start taking off their shirts more and more, flexing their muscles on Instagram, photoshopping abs onto their bodies, right? They start doing that. I know you guys do that. Don't pretend. Don't pretend. Okay, so they start doing this. You're losing more and more of what? Your hayat. You're losing more and more of your modesty. For what reason? Because you're chasing people's attention. And what's really interesting is the Prophet ﷺ said, الحياء والإيمان قرنا جميعا فإذا رفع أحدهما رفع الآخر. The Prophet said that Iman, faith, and Haya, modesty, are connected. If you take away one of them, you will take away the other. Think about it like this. If you have Iman in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you're not going to throw away your modesty just for people's attention. Why? You're not going to worship the people so that people pay attention to you. You're worshiping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You don't care about chasing after people. You care about Allah Azza wa Jalla. And if you care about Allah, then you're going to protect your modesty. You're going to protect your hijab, you're going to protect your awrah, you're going to protect your even the way that you act with people, the way that you talk, your modesty, your dignity, you're going to protect it because you care about Allah. When you don't care about Allah and you care about the people, your focus is the people, your focus is not Allah, then you will give away your modesty because you want the people's attention. You'll give away your modesty to get the people's attention. And so the two things are connected. Your Iman is connected to your modesty. And this is why you see people who are racing to get people's attention, they're giving away their modesty so that they can get that attention. But when they're giving away their modesty, they're also giving away their Iman. Because they're showing that their focus is people and their focus is not Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we need our focus to be upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this leads to another problem. A fourth problem as well. Is that when people commit sins now, in the past people would commit sins and maybe you never hear about it. But now people commit sins and because they're on social media, this sin is being live broadcast. Right? They're committing the sin, but because they're on social media, they're live casting the sin, they're taking a video of it, they're taking a picture of it, they're posting it. And what they're doing actually is publicizing the sins that they're doing. Right? The Prophet ﷺ said, كُلُّ أُمَّتِي مُعَافًى. All of my ummah will be forgiven. All of the ummah will be forgiven. He said, إِلَّا الْمُجَاهِدِينَ, except those who proclaim. So the Sahaba said to the Prophet ﷺ, who are the people who proclaim? What does it mean that you're proclaiming? What does it mean you're announcing? Who are the announcers? The Prophet said, everybody will be forgiven except the announcers. Who are the announcers? The Prophet ﷺ said, the one who commits the sin at night and nobody sees it, and he goes to sleep and nobody knows that he committed that sin. But he wakes up in the morning and he tells everybody about it. He announces it to people. Hey everybody, guess what? I did this sin. Hey everybody, guess what? Guess what I did last night? And he publicizes it. What happens when you do this? What happens when a person does this? He's advertising the sin. He's making it easier for other people to do it. He says, well, if Abraham did it, Muhammad did it, that person did it, well, we have to do it too. Right? Or if he didn't even know that sin was happening, but when he saw these people were doing it, oh, okay, you're a good one, don't worry. You're a good one. I forgot how to use this actual name. If he never knew that sin was happening, but then he sees somebody post about it, where was that thing happening? Oh, it was happening that place on that street? Okay, I'm going to be there next time. Right? He didn't know what was happening before, but now he found out. He found out what was happening. And there's an interesting story. One of the Mashaykh was mentioning the story that a group of young guys were looking at pictures on the internet, of course, of what was haram, things that were haram. And this was maybe in the beginning days of the internet. Not really now. But he was, one of them would get these pictures of women, not dressed properly, and he'd show it to his friends. And so his friends would see the picture, wow, and he shows them pictures, and etc., etc. And so he said to them, you know what? Instead of me showing you the pictures, I'm just going to email it all to you. So he started emailing these pictures to his friends. One day this guy was in his car driving, and he got hit by another car, and he died. So his friends went to his janazah, of course, they prayed on him, they buried him, everything was, they went to the graveyard and everything, they buried him, they went home, and then a week later, they got an email from him, and they opened the email, and it's a bunch of pictures like that, all pictures. He's dead. They buried him. So he said, "A'udhu billahi," he reads the email. And the next week, he gets another email from that brother who died. And again, it's pictures, haram pictures. And so he goes to the sheikh, and he tells the sheikh the story. And he says, it seems like he had an account with some website. The website emails him, and he has an automatic setup. As soon as it emails him, automatically emails 20 of his friends, or 30 of his friends, or whatever. So he came to the sheikh and said, I don't know what to do. He's in the grave, and emails are coming with his name of haram pictures. So the sheikh said, I don't know what to tell you. Email the website. Tell them this guy is dead. Cancel his account. So he emailed the website and said, this guy's my friend. He passed away. Please stop his account. Please shut off his account. And the website said, this guy paid a 5-year subscription. We can't cut it off. He paid for it. He's going to receive it. So subhanAllah, he's in the grave. For 5 years, his friends are receiving emails every single week of these haram pictures. And this is a factor when it comes to social media. The things you do on social media can stay there forever. The effect that you have on it can stay there forever. Right? What you do on it can stay there forever. Imam al-Ghazali has a very powerful statement. He said, إِنَّ مِنَ النَّاسِ مَنْ يَمُوتُ وَتَمُوتُ مَعَهُ سَيِّئَاتُهُ وَتَبْقَى حَسَنَاتَهُ مِئَةَ سَنَةٍ. He said, there are people who, when they die, all of their sins die. Any haram thing they did in their life, it died with them. But their good deeds stayed for 100 years. Their good deeds, they built a masjid, they built a school, they educated someone, they gave charity to this or to that. So their good deeds remain for 100 years, even though they're dead. And he said, وَمِنَ النَّاسِ مَن يَمُوتُ وَتَمُوتُ مَعَهُ حَسَنَاتُهُ. He said, but there are people when they die, their good deeds die with them. The only good things they were doing in their life died with them. And their sins remain for 100 years. They taught this person how to do haram. They invited this person to do something haram. They normalized the haram to his friends. They introduced haram to other people. So they die, but the sins that they are a part of are continuing. And they might continue for 100 years, and they're receiving sins while they're in their grave. And so you need to ask yourself, what are you doing on social media? Are you using it in a way that when you're in your grave, it will benefit you? Because the things you post could stay there forever. The things you post there could be there forever. And this is a real problem, especially with young people. And I'm sure your teachers in school are reminding you of this. I hope they are. They would be doing you a disservice if they don't tell you everything you put online stays there forever. You're going to go one day to get a job. They're going to look you up, look up all your accounts, and it can limit your future because of things that are there. Forget about the job. The angels are recording you. And it's going to be there forever for sure. And so you have to ask yourself, are they things you're leaving on the internet? Are they things that are calling people to Allah? Are they things that are normalizing the halal, the good to people? Are you introducing people to good deeds so that you get good deeds from them? Because some people do this, subhanAllah, some people, they log on once a day and they post a hadith. They log on once a day and they post a fa'idah, they post a benefit to other people. They try to benefit other people by their use of social media. And other people do the opposite. And so you have to ask yourself, how are you using it? Are you using it for good? Are you using it for other than that? And, be thankful to the gift of Allah. If Allah covered your sin, that's a gift from Allah. Like if you committed a sin, and Allah covered it, nobody saw it, nobody knows that you did it, that's Allah giving you a gift. Accept the gift from Allah. Accept that gift. You don't deserve it because you committed a sin. But Allah gave you a gift, so accept it. Don't reject the gift by exposing your sin to other people. By showing it to other people, by normalizing it to other people. The fourth point that I'll say, we have time? is not to spread lies online. And it can be really easy. You start talking, you spread a lie here, spread a lie there, and it goes, a million places. And the Prophet ﷺ mentioned one of the hadith of the man who he saw in the hellfire. A man he saw in the hellfire. And when he asked the angel, why is this person in the hellfire? The angel said, this person was spreading lies until his lies were spreading to the horizons. He was spreading lies, and the lies were going all over the place. Let me tell you something about myself. It's a weird story. A few years ago, maybe 3 years ago, I was doing Hajj. And I was in Hajj, and subhanAllah, that Hajj in particular, I've been to Hajj, did that a few times. Usually it's very smooth, but that particular Hajj was the most difficult I've ever experienced in my life. It was so difficult. Problems happening all over the place. I can't even tell you about it. In the midst of all these problems that are happening, passport was lost, I had to figure out where the passport was, and this was happening, and that was happening, and this person had an issue, and this person's complaining, and these people are complaining about someone in the room who's causing issues, and I'm trying to deal with all these problems. One of my brothers, mashallah, was with me on that trip, was here in the room. While all of this stuff was happening, subhanAllah, the next year was perfect, and it was perfect. That year was difficult, subhanAllah. While this was happening, somebody tagged me on Twitter. And I woke up in my hotel room, and I looked at my Twitter, and I saw someone tag me in something where, at that time, there was a hurricane happening in Texas, in Houston, and there was a flood, there was a hurricane, and some website wrote a fake story that a masjid in Houston was rejecting people who were fleeing from the flood. Like people in Houston were running away from the flood, and this masjid is not real. This masjid was telling those people, you're Christians, you're Jews, you're not allowed to come to the masjid. This didn't happen. It's a fake story. But so they write down this fake story, and they post a picture of the imam of this masjid, and it was my picture. And I'm in Mecca, and I'm seeing this, and I've never been to Houston in my life, not even once. So I posted on Twitter like a link to that, or a picture of that story, and I said, that's my picture, and I've never been to Texas in my life, ever. And so my tweet ended up going viral as well. Crazy viral, felt bad. So that story was viral, and then the other story was viral, and it was crazy. The point is, the internet is full of these fake news stories. And people spread them one after the other without even looking at them. It happens all the time. That was a story involving me that was really weird. CNN started to call me, BBC started to call me, CBC started calling me. I'm in Hajj, and I'm like, they were like, we want to do an interview. I'm like, I'm in Mina. How do you expect me to give you an interview? And they still made me do one, like on Skype, subhanAllah. This stuff was happening, but it happens every day. Like a bunch of people, subhanAllah, again, I'm sure Yousef probably have the same thing, when people send you things on WhatsApp, you don't even know what the people are, they're sending you things on WhatsApp. So someone was sending me something on WhatsApp. He said, a soccer stadium in Germany are honoring the Prophet ﷺ. And it shows the stadium full of soccer fans, and they're holding signs that says, La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. And the caption is, a stadium in Germany is honoring the Prophet and holding up signs of the Shahada. Who saw this? I don't know if people saw this, but I saw this. People sent this to me. Now think for a minute, why is Germany, a country that has 2% Muslims, going to have a stadium of 100,000 people holding up signs that says La ilaha illallah? Why is that going to happen? But Muslims will send this around without even thinking about it twice. And the actual video was a stadium in Saudi Arabia, and that's when they did it, right? And you get these fake videos and these fake stories going around all the time. You have to verify where the news comes from. And if you're going to spread news, you need to verify where your news comes from. Because you could really mess with people's heads, and that's what's happening right now with social media. It's being used as propaganda, right? People are using propaganda in many different ways. As Muslims, we are people of honesty, people of truth. If you're going to spread news, make sure the news that you're spreading is authentic. Verify as much as you can. Let's not spread information that isn't true. The fifth point that I'll mention, maybe inshallah one of the final points that we'll talk about, is we don't want to harm people as well with e-courage, right? People go online, and all of a sudden they become a different person, they have their alter ego online, and they start talking to people with arrogance, and they start talking to people with really rude language, and they start saying terrible things to each other that they would never in a million years say to somebody in real life. Never in a million years will they talk that way to someone in real life, but on the internet, mashallah, tabarakallah, they are experts and they have all the courage in the world, right? And we have to realize that whatever you write online, whatever you write on your phone, whatever you write in an app is being recorded by an angel just like the words you say in real life. The angel has access to your phone. Who's recording your statements? He has access to your phone. He's not just listening to your words and writing it down. He knows what you're writing with your fingers as well. Right? And the Prophet ﷺ said to a group of people who just accepted Islam, but were not following the proper way of a Muslim. He said, يَا مَعْشَرَ النَّاسِ مَنْ أَسْلَمَ بِلِسَانِهِ وَلَمْ يَخْلِ الْإِيمَانُ إِلَىٰ قَلْبِهِ. O people who have accepted Islam, but Iman, faith has not entered your hearts. لَا تُؤْذُوا الْمُسْلِمِينَ وَلَا تَتَّبِعْ عُرَاتِهِمْ. Do not harm the Muslims, and do not look for their faults. Some people do the opposite, right? He said, I'm a good brother. I'm religious. I go on the internet, I'm a good brother, I'm religious. What does he do on the internet the whole time? Can you believe this sheikh said this? Can you believe this brother did this? Can you believe this sister did this? He's looking for the sins of other people to attack. He wants to attack this person, attack this person, attack this person. All he wants to do is attack other people. Right? The Prophet says, don't look for the sins of other people. Don't follow the sins of other people. Whoever follows the sin of another Muslim, then Allah will follow your sin. And if Allah follows your sin, then Allah will expose your sins. Right? And the Prophet ﷺ said, إِنَّ الْعَبْدَ يَتَكَلَّمْ بِكَلِمَةٍ مِّنْ رِضْوَانِ اللَّهِ لَا يُلْقِي لَهَا بَالًا. That a man will say something from the pleasure of Allah, not even paying attention to it, and it will raise the person stations in Jannah. And a person will say something not paying attention to it, and it will cause them to fall into the hellfire for 70,000 years. You imagine throwing a rock, and the rock falls for 70,000 years. This person will fall all that way, 70,000 years of falling in the depth of hellfire because of a word that he said. Think about how people use the internet these days. Think about how people bully each other with this e-courage on the internet. Imagine something that you say that's harmful to someone might cause them to commit suicide. Maybe you're the person that pushes them over that edge. You say something really nasty to them. You don't even pay attention to it. You don't even think it's a big deal. But you don't know all the problems that kid has, and you just push them into suicide. How is Allah going to deal with you? The Prophet says a person says a word and he falls into hellfire. Falls 70,000 years into hellfire. And imagine if you use your words for something good. Imagine you say something good to people when you see them. Or you say something good to them online. There are people actually did this. There was a group of non-Muslims actually. They did a project where they would go online and say really complimentary things to people. Random people even. But anyone they know, they would go and say something really nice about them. To them. You know why? Because they saw all the negativity online, they wanted to bring some positivity. Because why? You could say something positive to someone, you don't know, that person might have serious depression. And then you go and you give them a compliment. That kid in your class that everybody makes fun of online, you go and you say something good about them. And maybe that makes their day. Maybe that kid was thinking about suicide because you said something good to them. Now they're not thinking about it anymore. Maybe that kid was depressed and you lifted them out of depression because you said something good to them. How are you using your words online? How are you using your words when you're interacting with people? And the Prophet ﷺ said, إِنَّ أَحَبَّكُمْ إِلَيَّ وَأَقْرَبُكُمْ مِنِّي يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ أَحْسَنُكُمْ أَخْلَاقًا. And those of you who are most beloved to me and closest to me on the day of judgment are the ones who have good manners. And he said, and those who are the furthest away from me, and the ones that I hate the most on the day of judgment, are those who have evil manners. And then the Prophet mentioned 3 categories of people. And each of them, الثَّرَثُونَ وَالْمُتَشَدِّقُونَ وَالْمُتَفَيِّقُونَ. The 3 people that the Prophet ﷺ mentioned, all 3 of these, the scholars define them as people who sin with their tongues. People who make mistakes with their tongues. People who sin and harm people with their tongues. So we have to be very careful about the things that we say online and the way that we deal with people. And this also leads into Sometimes you're online, you start talking with someone about the subject, you start getting into arguments, you start getting into heated arguments, and then emotions start to flare, and you're fighting with each other online about some topic. And again, the Prophet ﷺ said, أَنَا زَعِيمُ بِبَيْتٍ فِي رَوْضِ الْجَنَّةِ لِمَنْ تَرَكَ الْمَرَاءَ وَكَانَ مُحِبًّا. That the Prophet says, I am the lawyer, I am the attorney, I am the advocate for whoever abandons arguing, even if they are right. They abandon arguing. I am their lawyer to get them a house in the middle of Jannah. I'm their lawyer. I'm going to go to Allah on their behalf, say, oh Allah, I'm representing brother so-and-so, sister so-and-so. I'm representing them, and I'm telling you, oh Allah, please give them a house in the middle of Jannah. For what reason? Because that person was in an argument, and they said, you know what, I'm not going to argue anymore. Because sometimes there's two people who are good people, two good Muslims, but they get into an argument, and online it gets really easy with the speed courage that you have to get really emotional and start firing back at each other without thinking. Then you get into these huge arguments with each other, and you lose sight of your emotions, and the good Muslim and the good Muslim fight with each other, and then they cause a strain. And all of a sudden there's a problem with their brotherhood and their sisterhood in Islam, because they kept fighting. So the Prophet ﷺ says, abandon the fight, even if you're right, abandon the argument to preserve the love between you, to preserve the brotherhood between you, to preserve the sisterhood between you. Abandon the argument, and the Prophet ﷺ will be the one who will be there on your behalf. And in general, of course, we should talk about, we should mention, the lack of talk, not talking too much. Sometimes online, you talk way more than you would in real life, and speaking too much sometimes leads us to problems. Another point that I'll mention, another couple of points, I won't spend too much time on them. One is the wasting time factor. All of us have been there. You go on YouTube, you want to watch one video, and it leads you to another video, leads you to another video, leads you to another video. You go down this rabbit hole, all of a sudden you lost 2 hours. You only wanted to watch a 5-minute video and you lost 2 hours. How did that happen? So the Muslim knows that when they meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says that no foot of any believer will move on the day of judgment until Allah asks him about 4 things. And his life, and how did he use it? Right? So you're going to be asked, how did you use your life? The Muslim knows that Allah is going to ask you, how did you use your time? How did you use your life? Where did you spend it? That's the first thing Allah is going to ask you. So be judicious about your time. Since we all know, you can go on Facebook, you think you're going to go there for 2 seconds, all of a sudden you're there for an hour. You go on Instagram, you think you're going to be there for 2 minutes, the next thing you know, you're there for a couple of hours. We all know social media has this effect. So be judicious. I'm not saying you have to abandon it, I'm not saying you can't use it, but I'm saying, tell yourself, okay, I'm only going to give myself half an hour, then for sure I'm going to cut myself off. I'm only going to give myself this much time, for sure I'm cutting myself off after that. Because I need to do things that are more productive. Right? So the Muslim pays attention to their time and doesn't let it be lost. And finally, I'll say your family relationships. And the most important thing in our religion, after worshiping Allah alone, is your family relationship. And too many people are living in the same house, but they're living in different realities. The father and the mother and the son and the daughter, they're in the same house. They might even be eating dinner together. The father's on his phone, the mother's on her phone, the kids are on their phone. He's in one reality, she's in a different reality, she's in a different reality. None of them know what's happening in each other's lives. None of them are talking to each other. None of them are having any relationship with each other. They're just roommates. We have 5 people who are roommates, but they don't know each other. That's a problem. That's a big problem. I suggest for families sometimes maybe have a family night. Take away all the cell phones. Everybody has to sit together, maybe play a board game, play whatever, just so that you start spending time together and talk to each other, away from your phones a little bit, just so that you create that relationship with each other. Because the cell phones are really taking people away from one another. We mentioned the hadith at the very beginning of the prophecy of the Prophet that someone from far away will be telling them what's happening inside their house. And that's what's happening. You don't know what's happening to your kids. You have no idea what's happening to their lives. Because they're not talking to each other. Because everybody's in their own world on their cell phones. And in their smartphones and on their social media apps. So, that's the end of the points that I wanted to mention. Ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make it easy for us to follow what pleases Him. And ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to allow us to be of those who use the medium of social media for His sake, who use it as a way to increase our good deeds and not to be harmed by its evil effects. فأقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم واستغفروه إنه غفور رحيم.
Inshallah, this will be beautiful, powerful talk. There are 2 minutes before Isha, inshallah, so we're going to start the question afterwards, but I just want to make an announcement. Real Talk Windsor is having a youth halaqa tomorrow, inshallah, Sunday, December 22nd at 5:30 here in the mosque. So the brothers will be in the musalla, the old musalla, the small one, and the sisters will be in the youth club, inshallah. So tomorrow at 5:30, it's a halaqa for youth, inshallah. The second thing is there are, so there are some few cards if you want to write a question. You can do that. You can look at the questions, inshallah. If you want to ask me a question directly, you can do that too, and we prefer that. But if you don't feel comfortable, you just can write down your question, inshallah. So Al-Majlis will distribute the cards, inshallah, if you want to write a question. And then we're going to start in 2 minutes, inshallah. So Jazakallah khairan. Inshallah we'll have a quick Q&A session and then we conclude the program, inshallah.
So this question is, how do you overcome being a social media addict? So different, you know what, like this question, some people might laugh at it, how do you overcome being a social media addict, but it actually is an addiction. It can actually trigger dopamine in your head, it can actually be just like a regular addiction, or any other thing that we think of when we think of addictions. Different people have different ways of dropping addictions. So if you're addicted to social media, some people might find it useful to cut it off cold turkey. To just cut it out completely for a while, at least, spend a few months off of it, then you can slowly reintroduce it back to yourself at a slower pace. That's something you could do. The other thing that you could do is to take it slowly. So you say, right now I'm spending 5 hours on social media, I'm limiting my time down to 4 hours, then progressively down to 3, down to 2. To overcome any addiction, you can't really do it alone. You need somebody to hold you accountable. So if you have this addiction, you want to overcome it, you need to find somebody who can help you. Maybe you go to your wife, maybe you go to your friend, you go to somebody and say, listen, I need your help to stop me from going on social media too much. Maybe you're the one who's going to take away my phone. At this hour you take away my phone, you keep it away from me so that I know after 10 o'clock or after 9 o'clock I'm not going on social media. Right? You have somebody to keep you accountable. That's the only way you can kick any addiction. Regardless of what the addiction is, you need somebody to help you stay accountable. So if you feel like you have this addiction, you want to overcome it, find somebody to help you, confide in them, tell them that you have this problem, you want to stop it, and inshallah they can help you stay accountable in terms of lowering the amount of time that you're spending. And the problem also with social media is stopping it entirely is very difficult because people need it sometimes for work, they need it for this reason, for that reason. That's what makes stopping it completely very difficult. But if you can have someone who can hold you accountable, inshallah, you can lower the amount of time that you spend on that.
Okay, does anyone have a question? Just like you can ask it directly to the Sheikh, inshallah. Go ahead.
If there's a problem online that is haram, how can you stop it?
What kind of problem?
Like bullying or something.
Okay, so the young brother is saying, how can you, if there's a problem online, how do we stop the problem of bullying? So if you know the people, if you know someone involved, your job as a Muslim is to give advice to other Muslims. Right? So if you know the person involved, maybe the person who is doing the bullying, if you can advise them, tell them, hey, what are you doing? Do you realize that what you're doing is harming the other person? Do you realize that it can really mess up that other person? That person might be depressed, drastic things might happen to the other person. You really want that on your conscience. that because of the words that you've said, you're harming this other person. So you can take the role of being the advisor, advising that person. If you feel like it's getting out of hand between two young people, you have to also know that maybe you need to go get an adult involved. Tell one of the parents. They might not know that this is happening, right? Even though that's a difficult thing for a young person to do, you might save a life doing it, right? So you need to realize sometimes you need to intervene. You need to tell someone who has more authority, an adult, get them involved in a situation like that, right? But you should take it from that position. If you can advise a person to do something better, advise them. And if you can't, if you feel like this is getting out of control, make sure you're telling an adult. Okay?
So you know how we can have online scandals, and some of them are against scholars. And as a spectator, just watching all these people go back and forth, and you've learned a lot from a certain scholar. And then you watch people, even majority of scholars agree with that this scandal is, I guess, correct. How do you, as a spectator, what do you do? Do you just stop, learning or something from this certain person, or what do you do?
So, it's a good question. It's also a very difficult question to answer. So, did everybody hear his question? So he's asking about scandals that sometimes happen online where something comes out about a scholar or something like that that's negative, and it creates an online scandal, and you've learned from that scholar. Do you have to cut off that scholar entirely and not listen to them anymore, or what do you do in that situation? So, the Fiqh used to say that they wish that no sin of a person would come out until after they die, so nobody would even know about these things. And I think one of the problems that we have on social media too is that we're raising people up to pedestals too much and too quickly. Like somebody could be just a good brother who gives some local halaqas, but then his local halaqah gets online, YouTube, and gets a lot of followers, and all of a sudden it becomes social media superstar, and he has 1 million followers, and all of a sudden he's getting paid by organizations, lots, thousands of dollars to come to their city to give a talk. He's going all over the world to all these countries and speaking at these big conferences. It just happened overnight. And he's not really ready for that, right? And this is a problem that we have. In the past, for someone to be a scholar, they were local, and they spent time with another scholar for a long period of time. And they saw, probably when that person was young, he did stupid things, but then he got out of the system over time until he was older and people had trusted him, and then he became elevated. Now it's like this, they become elevated. Like this, for no reason, they become viral, they get millions of people, and all of a sudden they're looking at them like superstars. And that's a problem as well. But at the same time, scholars are human beings. And the scholar and the teacher and the ustad and whoever they might be are not who you're following. They are just the means. They're the means to connect you to the Prophet and send them to the religious tradition. And if they're flawed, that's okay. You'll find someone else who's another means to take you to where you're looking for, which is the Prophet in our religion. At the same time, if you learn something beneficial from someone, it doesn't mean you have to throw away everything that I learned from this person. It doesn't mean that everything he talks about just because he sinned in this area or sinned in that area. It doesn't mean that. It doesn't mean that, right? You can still benefit from the good that they had, while also recognizing that they're human beings and they're flawed and making mistakes. So if that kind of answers your question.
So you said to make sure stuff online is authentic before spreading it or something, because you don't know if it's right, you don't know if it's a lie or something. So how do we make sure stuff, like on Instagram, is authentic? You see stories and posts about stuff happening, you don't know if it's true, you don't know what's the deal with it, and it's so hard to find authenticity on Instagram, because if you're going to go back to the information, then you're not going to find anything authentic, and you have to believe it or not believe it, and then you see every single person posting on their stories, and then you're learn to believe it, or you're learn to think it's a bad thing, or whatever they try to do. So how do you figure out if it's authentic?
So my advice is if you don't know that if it's authentic or not, don't spread it. Right? Don't take the responsibility of spreading it. Even if everybody else is doing it, don't get involved if you don't know if it's authentic or not. So a lot of these types of videos go around and sometimes they can be really harmful. So, and usually if the story gets big enough, then people start, the truth comes out eventually. Right? If it's a small thing, then it goes away, but if it's a major thing, eventually the truth will come out. But I would say if you don't know, you have a job to verify. If you don't know, then just don't share it, don't participate in that.
How often are these classes going to be?
This one is just one event, it's not a class. The class will start in January, inshallah.
If you play a lot of video games, do you get athletes? It depends on are you playing so much that you're missing some of that? Yeah? Yeah, then you can get that. But if you stop playing and you go and you pray, then inshallah you don't get that. Are you playing so much that you're not listening to your parents? You don't play? Other people do that? You don't play at all? Well, if other people are playing so much that they're not listening to their parents, then they might get sick. So if you can play, no problem, as long as it's a good game with no wrong scenes in it. But as long as it's not taking away from you being good to your parents, you worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you do your responsibilities, then inshallah there's no problem.
There was a question, it's actually a question about a fatwa, so I apologize for the person because it just didn't have enough time. If you want, I'm going to ask a question about the question. The yellow card, you just come back to the plane after the event, personally, inshallah. I'm going to actually ask a question to the audience as well. So obviously when you post something that has something haram, like haram, for example, like the story that Sheikh mentioned, is haram. But sometimes I think some people might think that liking a picture that has something haram is not a problem, because I wasn't the one who posted this. Or any kind of endorsement or something that involves any kind of haram, but if the language itself is haram, or the picture is haram, sometimes we do not really think that like is a big deal when it comes to these things. So I don't know what you think of the haram about these things.
That's a very important point. If you're liking it, you're also spreading it. Because some people think if you share it, you're spreading it. If you like it, you're not spreading it. If you understand how social media works, the algorithms behind the scenes, the more people like something, the more the algorithm says, oh, this is something important, let me show it to more people. So even if you don't share it yourself, just liking it is making the program show it to more people. So if there's something haram, you shouldn't like it at all. Leave it alone completely, because otherwise you're helping spread it around. And in fact, what you should do is if somebody posting something haram, maybe unfollow that person. And that way the algorithm will work the other way. So people are unfollowing his work must be bad, we don't want to show it to them. That's anything.
How do you know, like, if something you're saying is haram, or if you're doing is haram, if you're not aware?
What do you mean?
So, like, if you say something, so let's say you say something you're not really paying attention to, how would you, like, realize what you're doing is bad?
I think what you should do is take some of the classes with Sheikh Yousef, and you're going to know for sure what's happening. Yes?
A lot of times we post a lot of pictures of ourselves and the things we eat and vacations we do. But genuinely, we think that's just a genuine post. But sometimes genuine people sometimes enters their heart with jealousy and the evil eye. So something does that affect you guys? Can you get that from that?
So the brother's asking sometimes we post things of things that we eat or places that we go, and we're being genuine about it, but other people might develop jealousy and the evil eye might occur. Can we get the evil eye from social media? The answer is yes, of course. The Prophet ﷺ made up that the evil eye is true, it is a reality, it is something that can happen. And so the person should be judicious. It doesn't mean you can never share something that you did or somewhere that you went, something that you ate, but you should be careful. Am I doing it too much? Am I attracting too much potential negative attention? Is it possible that by me doing this too much, I'm attracting jealousy from other people? Maybe this time I won't share it, next time I won't share it. Personally, me, I'm very cautious about sharing pictures of my family, just being honest. Maybe once a year in Eid I might share a picture of my family. After that I won't. because I feel, a little bit careful about this, right? So you yourself have to make that decision. Everybody knows themselves best. You know your followers best. You know who it is that's your friends list or your followers page. So you should ask yourself, am I overdoing it, right? Or is this okay? And based on that, try to be careful because evil eye does exist, and it could cause jealousy in people, and it could cause negative effects. Is it permissible to post pictures of yourself when you have friends of the same gender, if you're a female or a male? So again, this is too generic of a question. What is this picture of? What are you doing? Is it just an innocent picture of people together? Again, it goes back to being a little bit judicious of and careful of how could this picture be used? How can it be misused? Could people get a negative idea from it? Could it develop the evil eye? I'm not giving you a hard, fast rule. I know that people want sometimes for me to give, yes, it's halal, and no, it's haram, because that's easy. What's difficult is to tell you to exercise caution. What's difficult is to tell you to use your best judgment. That's what you need to do. There is no rule, yes or no. It's more of you need to look at the context and the situation, the picture that you're posting, and you need to ask yourself if it's appropriate or not. The important thing is not to be in the mentality of everything that's posted. You don't even think about it twice. You're just posting everything, right? Don't be in that mentality, because that's where you're definitely going to get in trouble. Rather, you want to be in the mentality of asking yourself before you post something. Should I post this? Should I not post it? Is it appropriate? Is it not appropriate? Considering that people follow me, is this a good thing for them to see or not see? Those are questions you need to ask yourself before you make that decision. Just asking, what are your thoughts on emojis? I don't have a customers. I don't know specifically how to use them. Somebody will send me an emoji of a bunch of different symbols. I don't know what he's saying. So I need a translator to know what those things are. But hopefully they're bad. I don't know. Hopefully they're bad.
Not the devil emoji.
So the person asked, would it be permissible to reach out to an Islamic scholar through email? Or would that be considered, would that be considered being in a private situation with someone of the opposite gender? The sister's obviously, the question's obviously coming from the sister. I don't know, to be honest. I would say if you feel at all, if you don't feel comfortable, then I suggest CCing somebody else, a sister that you're good friends with, or a mahram to you, or someone like that. CC someone else on the conversation if you feel like you can. I don't really know. Sometimes I do get questions from sisters, and sometimes the questions are very sensitive to the point that they can't include other people. So it's difficult for me to answer. I would be interested in what Sheikh Yousef thinks. But I would say that if you feel, and the point is that sometimes, unfortunately, email between a brother and a sister, even if it's a scholar, can sometimes lead down the path that is not good. Then CC someone, inshallah. Put someone else on that email list as well.
Yeah, so just like on comment this, so sometimes Sheikh Ibrahim mentioned what is actually more difficult is to exercise caution and sincerity when you're doing these things. The Prophet ﷺ said, the sin, part of the definition of the sin is what comes to your heart, that feeling that comes to your heart, and you want people to know about it. You have to apply this to every single thing you do in your life. So at any point when you write a message, or you're chatting with someone, you want to write an email, whatever way of communication, if this feeling comes to your heart that I'm in doubt if this is permissible or not, so do not do it. Why I'm saying this? Because it's really very wide spectrum of options and ways of communication. Because sometimes the culture you use emails to be more professional, right? So when you're emailing someone, it's obviously much different than your Facebook hint, right? when you are sending a message on Facebook, it's different than if you are sending it to a public page of this scholar person or to his own personal account, right? Which is different than WhatsApp, which is different than texting, different than like, each app has its own culture around it, right? And we view these things differently. We view WhatsApp in a different way than Facebook, than texting, than Instagram. So having all these things in mind, having the culture of the social media in general in mind, and the culture of your own place, right? Because sometimes a certain area or certain community is sensitive to a certain way of communication, we should keep that in mind too. Knowing this person as well, and knowing the way that he or she recommends the way of communication as well. Sometimes people will disclaim and say, you know what, if you want to reach out to me, please, you have to use only email. Do not reach out to me through any of my social media accounts, or do not call me on my phone number or text me on my phone number, for example. So having all these things together, they all are very important factors that will decide is this appropriate or not, is it permissible or not. But a black and white answer to this, I think it's difficult because again, it's a lot of so many different factors. And the solution that Sheikh Ibrahim mentioned is actually, I know a lot of scholars who use it by the way, that you will get someone CC'd in that email, but the problem is sometimes the issues will be very personal, very sensitive, so sometimes would require no privacy. Then maybe a professional like meeting in a wide way, like in a mosque, in a counseling appointment or something that might be actually better than just a back and forth communication. All these things have to be involved in the process of answering this question. But again, have this really, it's a golden nasiha from the Prophet ﷺ that anything that itches you literally in your heart that you're not comfortable about when it comes to something halal or haram, stay away from it, avoid it, specifically if it's not something that is actually emergent or something that is very important or needed for your life.
Do we still have time? So just going back to your story about that Hajj, certainly, assuming you didn't perform Hajj yet and you got that picture with your face on and everything, did you feel obligated to reply? Because otherwise it was gonna like eat away your brain before you're just doing Hajj or something? Because I find that difficult to just block something. I mean, people can trust that, yes, he's never been to Houston, right? Did you feel the necessity to?
The brother asked me about the story I was mentioning when I was at Hajj. The story happened. He was asking did I feel like the need to respond to it, or
Yeah. And how did it affect like your Hajj?
It did affect my Hajj. You know, when I first saw it, part of me was like, I should just ignore this. It's so stupid. And at the time, I had so many problems in front of me. So many kind of about that Hajj. Like literally everything went wrong. Everything that could go wrong went wrong. I had so many problems I was dealing with that part of it was like, you just have some bigger fish to fry. This is nothing. I got bigger problems in front of me. But then I just thought like I should just call it out because this type of thing happens all the time, right? They take pictures of local imams and use it on they write some blog posts and attack him using a lot of false information. They do this, they do this all the time to us. So I just thought I should post something. I didn't think that it would really go anywhere, but I just posted it. And just kind of live, in minutes, my phone started going crazy and I see that all these celebrities were retweeting my tweets and all of that. So probably that was sort of how to carry my voice in my response. But yeah, I just did it just because I just thought of how it's happening to so many different people, and I just felt like I should just do it. So this is a question. Recently, an app called TikTok has become very viral, and people have been accidentally spending 3 hours a day on it. What are your thoughts on TikTok? So most of the social media platforms I've talked about today, I've actually used or at least signed up for. I haven't signed up for TikTok, so I don't know exactly how it works either. I have some idea like they do videos and stuff. I've seen the videos people make on TikTok and post on other mediums like Instagram and Twitter, but I haven't actually seen the app itself. One thing I do know about TikTok is that the Chinese government is the one that created the app, and if you install the app, the Chinese government gets all of your information. And the Chinese government is not very friendly to Muslims these days, as we all know. So that's something that I would tell you to pay attention to. Maybe you don't want to have that app because it gives them full information on your phone. In terms of what's actually happening in TikTok, I'm not quite sure. So I can't really speak to it because I haven't used it. But I'm getting more of these questions, so inshallah I'll have to use it a little bit somehow and figure out what's happening with it.
You mentioned that, like in old age, how Muslims use the invention of technology. So, being a parent for kids, being engaged in social media to their level, is there any appropriate age where you can keep them stay away, or you teach them how to use it appropriately? Which approach we should take in parent Muslim parent?
So the brother's asking, what approach do you take in terms of how early do you allow children to use social media, and at what age do you allow them to use it? Is that the ways do you allow them to use it, and how do you allow them to use it appropriately? And that's a question I don't really know the answer to. My eldest daughter is 8 years old. And my plan of attack is wait as long as I possibly can before allowing her to use anything like that. Struggle as long as I can fight, and I will fight, inshallah. Because it is very time consuming and addictive, and there's a lot of like these negative things that we've talked about. I think as a parent, when you allow your child, I can't think of it like this. When you hire someone to work for your company, or you hire someone to work for your organization, what you set in the beginning, the tone you set in the beginning, has an effect on the way they act later on. Like if in the very beginning you're like very free, they can come in late, they can leave early, they can do this, they can do that, and then you come 6 months later, you say, hey, you're coming in late, you're leaving early, you can't do this anymore. It's very difficult to go backwards. Right? So likewise with my kids, if at some point she's older and she's saying I really want to use these apps or something like that, then I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, okay, here's the negotiation. I will let you use it, but on these conditions. Maybe the condition is that she has to add me to her page, that I have to see what she's doing. That, for instance, if she's on these apps, I will tell her she only can have her girlfriends added on Instagram. She can't add any boys to it. Right? Those might be things that I negotiate with her in the very beginning and set that standard in the very beginning so that I can slowly introduce her to it in a way that isn't free for all. Use it as much as you want and fall into all the harms of it. Because that would be easier of a progression than to go let them loose and then try to bring them back is going to be too difficult, I think. That's just my thoughts as a parent. I don't know that there's a right and wrong answer. But I'm in it with you. I have small kids and I don't know exactly how to prevent them from it when the time comes.
The problem is when we have elder kids and you have a smaller one, it's very hard to create that kind of environment. So how do you deal with that?
See, I feel like you're asking a question I'm not qualified to answer. When my kids are older, you can ask me this question.
Yeah, because
inshallah,
as the kids, they're on the phone or social media all the time. If the little ones are seeing that, how can we create that kind of environment and not giving them those vibes?
Yeah, I mean, it's a difficult question. My daughter comes and says, oh, a girl in my class has a cell phone. Why can't I have a cell phone? Well, you're not going to get a cell phone. I'm just telling you that. It's not going to happen. So, maybe it's you give them something else, right? Like, you get to take them on a trip or something in lieu of them having access to social media apps, right? So they don't feel like you're just being mean to them. You're giving them something else. You're taking them to a fun place or something like that. And you tell them, I'm doing this for you because so-and-so, your elder son has these privileges that you don't have. I'm doing this for you in lieu of that. Maybe that's an approach to take.
Okay, so I think I will ask the last question and then we can go to the top up. Because I think it's pretty important for so many of us at least. Using social media platforms for any kind of advocacy from the community about political advocacy or something that community is involved in or Islamophobia. If we're trying to do any kind of advocacy or campaign against Islamophobia, for example, or something that, or for da'wah projects or da'wah advocacy, something relating to the da'wah work or community, Muslim community work. Do you have any nasiha on how to make this use social media to further advancing the concept of securities in general?
That's a really important question. It's kind of low. We've been able, through social media, we talked today a lot about the negatives. It says we're going to try to be positive, but still I think it was pretty negative today. But social media has done amazing things, like subhanAllah, we've had issues in Peel with our schools. Peel School Board had issues with Muslim students. We were able to organize people online, get people to show up in public meetings, talk to the school board trustees to get things better for the students there. A few years ago, there was a brother who came to my masjid who was attacked in the parking lot and was beaten up almost to death. It's kind of what I just saw the doctor's report. He had 17 fractures in his head. And the amount of times they kicked him while he was on the floor. 2 men kicking him while he was on the floor. And I'll never forget, I went the next day, the day after it happened, to the hospital, and I took a picture of him and I asked his wife if I posted this online, and she allowed me, and I posted it and it went viral. We launched a Launch Good page for him, because he was in the hospital for a long time, for months, and we were able to raise a lot of money for his family, and we were able to do a lot of good from that perspective, because in the beginning, he had told me, his wife told me the day that I showed up, that the people, as they attacked them, they called them terrorists. And the police to the media told them this was just a parking dispute. So, because of that, I was able to put pressure, because the post went viral, I was able to put pressure on the police. I went to the police and said, how did you guys say this? Witnesses are saying there was racial things that were said, and the police actually had to put out a statement after saying that we are looking at it and staying motivated. So, we were able to organize a lot of things just through the medium of social media, engaging with people on social media. And so I think that whatever capacity you're engaging on social media, you should always have a goal as a Muslim. Whatever thing that you do in your life, you should have a goal. And if you're on social media, you should have a goal. That goal should be, I'm helping the Muslim community, I'm helping call people to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I'm using this medium for a good purpose. You can post things about yourself, you can crack some funny jokes, no problem, but also say to yourself, if I'm on this platform, I have to be using it for something good. I have to be using it for a good reason. I have to be using it so that when I'm in my grave, my social media presence is something that is bringing hasanat for me, right? You need to have that mentality as a Muslim. And if you do this, you can do a lot of good. And a lot of people on social media, alhamdulillah, are doing excellent work through their social media, trying to organize the community, trying to work for the concerns of the Muslim community. So you can do this work, inshallah, through social media, alhamdulillah. You shouldn't look at it as something that we reject entirely. It is a tool. And as a Muslim, you use this tool, inshallah, for what pleases Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Jazakallah khairan. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless you and accept your work, inshallah. Again, we're really happy and pleased to have you here. First and then last time, inshallah, jazakallah khairan. So we'll conclude here, inshallah. Ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from all of you too. There are like 15 minutes left before Isha, so I encourage you, please do not leave. If you do not have any other commitments, just stay in the mosque and pray Isha with the Jama'ah from Ibrahim. And Sheikh Ibrahim is going to have a little khatir after Isha for the community, inshallah, in the mosque. So I encourage you all to stay, inshallah. Jazakallah khairan again for attending. Barakallahu feekum. Assalamu alaikum.